wedding photographers. This is a tutorial on how I create 5 timelines in just 10 minutes. Can you imagine? So first of all, what's a timeline? This is when we're putting together full of day of timelines for our clients. So we do this really early in the process. Actually, after they book us, it's one of our first steps. We have them fill out what's called a timeline starter questionnaire, where it just has some general preferences. They give yes, no, yes, no. It can be tentative, and then we draft up a timeline from top to bottom. The goal is that we're beating everyone else to it. They're not starting to make decisions based off of their sister's wedding of like, oh, 4:30 was a good ceremony start time, not dependent off sunset, not dependent off any other factors. We want to beat everyone else to it so that we can have great, solid advice, and so that they're set on a draft that feels great moving forward. They're then able to make decisions based off of that versus us getting 6 months down the road, they already sent out invites and it's some wonky ceremony start time, and then we can't change anything off of that. Now, a caveat is that if they have a full service wedding planner, we are not doing this. We are leaving it up to the experts. The full service wedding planner is maybe emailing us to ask us some preferences, but then they are drafting up the entire thing. All of their communication about a timeline is from the couple to the full service wedding planner. But even if our couples have a month of coordination or a day of coordination, which many of ours do, we still draft up a timeline. They then have this timeline for all of their planning journey, and then when their coverage kicks in with their wedding planner, with their coordinator, the coordinator then uses that to then fill in all of the other pieces, like when the florist is arriving, when the DJ is setting up, things like that. Now, this is why it's important to be able to do timelines fast. This is a repeatable process that you will do with almost every single client. And it is something that when you're taking intentional care can take a while, can take an hour typically. When you go through and see all of their preferences in the timeline starter questionnaire, when you then take into account sunset times, the venue, things like that, it is tough to be able to do this quickly. And it is something that will eat away at your productivity. Things that are repeatable tasks like this need to have some sort of efficiency to them. If they're repeatable, there is something that can be automated, that can be streamlined, that can be put into a workflow. And as advocates for building a business around your life instead of the reverse way, we need to be able to make these things speedy, quick, but still efficient, still quality timelines for our couples. So we created what's called the Timeline Wizard. It is a product, it's an Excel spreadsheet that has all sorts of magic behind it, all sorts of formulas that takes into account these small individual items that we want to be able to personalize with our couples. What happens in the Timeline Wizard is it is literally magic. I'm going to show you because I'm going to show you literally in my computer how I create these timelines so speedy. We input some data, we select some preferences, and it puts up a timeline from top to bottom. So let's jump into my computer. I'm going to show you. I'm going to put a timer up, and I'm going to show you how quick I can create these timelines, and these timelines are going to have all sorts of different preferences in them. Let's go. Okay, here is the infamous Timeline Wizard. So let's get to creating. So I'm going to put in partner 1's name, which is Anna, and then partner 2, which is John. Now, something to note is that photographer 1 is always going to go with partner 1. So like in the morning when you split up, these people go together. So I'm going to put Bree, one of our team photographers, and I'm going to put Lacey, another one of our team photographers. Photographer 2 is also going to be listed second. I think that makes sense because like photographer 2 is typically the second shooter who's going with partner 2. So you'll see in a little bit that it's going to put information side by side. Now, anytime that I click out of here, you'll actually see that it updates on the right-hand side. So you can see here like Bree and Cameron. That's because Cameron was there. If I click out, Bree and Lacey photograph ceremony decor. So you can see it's updating right here. So like Lacey joins John for getting ready photos. Now, Anna and John, they are not doing a first look. So I'm going to unclick this. Their ceremony length is 30 minutes. They are doing their family photos pre-ceremony. They're not, because they're not doing a first look. So it says uncheck family photos pre-ceremony. That's because that's literally not possible. They haven't seen each other. That's why everything went like this. So I'm going to go uncheck. Their sunset time is 9 o'clock, which is the Midwest in the middle of summer. They're getting married in June. And so it is late, late, late. There is no travel anytime here. That would be something that I added in there. And then the ceremony time override is if they had like a specific ceremony time that they had to do. So I'm explaining this here. This is racking up my time, y'all. But I'm going to be able to just literally check out of here. Doing the first dance and cake cutting post dinner, which is typical for us in the Midwest, that is checked. And you will see I have a timeline. So next, I'm going to pull up this delivery page that comes with the Timeline Wizard, and I'm going to press paste, and that pops the entire timeline in there. Now, there's just a couple things that we personalize here. So at the top here, I'm going to put Anna and John's for them, of course. I'm going to click on this, and this is purely just personal preferences. I'm going to go table design. We like this fourth from the left over. I'm going to uncheck header row, uncheck banded rows. Then I'm going to go to layout and I'm going to go auto fit and I'm going to select auto fit contents. Additionally, you'll kind of see that this goes too far. So a good place to start is that I'm going to go 0.25, perfect. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to go center. And that looks great. The last thing I'm going to personalize on the bottom here is the actual coverage time. Bree and Lacey are there from 1:30 to 9:30. From there, I save this, I send this to the couple, and that is it. Timeline 1 down. Now let's get back to work. Okay, timeline 2. This is Sienna and Kenzie, and the photographer is Cameron and Tia. They are doing a first look. It's standard 30 minutes. Sunset time is 7:30, kind of a wonky one in Minnesota because it's often interrupts dinners and stuff. There is no travel, no ceremony time override, and they are doing it this way. This is good to go. I am going to copy this, go back to my delivery page. I am going to paste, again, Sienna and Kenzie. From here, I'm going to personalize this, table design, for header row, banded columns, layout, auto fit contents. This one also, we need to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to go to home because I love this centered. And then coverage runs from 12:30 to 8:30. This one's exactly right. I save this, I send it over. Okay, this is for Joe, J-O, and Bryant. If there is a girl and a boy, I will go with the girl. So I'm going to go first. I'm going with Joe. In this case is someone who is female identifying, and this is Cameron. And then they're doing a first look. There is a 45-minute ceremony. It's a little bit longer. They're doing their family photos pre-ceremony. Their sunset time is 6:13. Something to note is that this can round. So my last example was just 7:45. There is no travel to the first look, but there is travel from the portrait location, which is where they're getting ready. So you can see there's no travel from getting ready. That's at their reception venue. There's 30-minute travel and then 30 minutes to go back to the reception venue. Ceremony doesn't have to be a certain time. Their first dance and cake cutting is going to be beforehand. So now this says sunset portraits not ideal. We're just going to look at this really quick. Sunset portraits right now are landing at 2? Oops. Okay, this is AM, so defaulted to AM. It is at PM. Their sunset is PM. Okay, so still not ideal. So it has it from 5:45 to 6:15. So you can see the sun is setting at 6:15. That's okay. That means we'll have a little bit of blue hour portraits. Totally fine. So I'm going to then copy this to get it in an ideal place. Okay, I'm going to pop this in here, paste, and this is Joe and Bryant's wedding timeline. Again, we can just zoom through this. You know how this goes. We'll fast forward. And then I'm going to edit this because we want to be finishing at 6. So I'm going to move this back to 5:30. We do budget 30 minutes. And if you own the timeline wizard, you can go to override actions and you can totally adjust any of these time frames. And then you will see that our coverage time is now 11:15 to 9:15. So I'm going to edit that. Save this and send it on over. Okay, my fourth timeline. This is Annika, and this is Anders. Tia and Cameron are photographing. First look, check. This is a standard 30 minutes. They are doing their family portraits pre-ceremony. Again, standard for us. This is going to be a 5:37 p.m. I need to put in there. Ceremony, which is in October for us. It's later. The sunset is setting later. Partner to first look. So partner 1 is off-site. They do have a 30-minute travel. There is no other travel in the day. They're just getting ready at an Airbnb offsite. That's where Annika is. And Anders is already at the venue. There is kind of a smaller suite there for him. And then they're doing their portraits, their ceremony, their reception, all at the same location. It's called Mayo Woodstone Barn. Ceremony time override ride 0. So again, this is what I'm going to show you in example 5. First dance and cake cutting, they are doing it after dinner. Again, that's pretty standard for us in the Midwest. I'm going to copy this over, pull up my delivery page. I'm going to paste. I'm going to personalize for Annika and Anders's. Anders's. And then, that's eating up my time in there. I'm going to go 4. When I say 4, it's 4 over. That's just how I remember it. Autofit contents, 0.25, home, center. Oh yeah, baby. We are changing nothing in here. Again, I might glance over this. So like they're just going out at cocktail hour. When there are sunsets in October for us and even early November prior to daylight savings, those work really well for our timeline format and timeline preferences. And then you'll see we're arriving at 11:30. I need to add in an AM there. And we depart at 8:30. Save, send that on out. Okay, our final timeline is for Blake and Elliot and Emily, a team photographer of ours, plus Joe, a team photographer of ours, is photographing this. They are not doing a first look. The ceremony is actually 60 minutes. They are not doing their family photos pre-ceremony, which makes sense for a lot of couples that have like a required time, which you're going to see in a second. Their sunset is at 8:45 p.m. Again, it's one of those summer days for us. There is no travel in the morning, but from ceremony to reception, it is a 45-minute travel. Woo, this is a day. And there is a ceremony start time override of 4 p.m. They can only have it that time at their ceremony. First dance cake cutting is post-dinner. Let's take a quick glance at this since we're changing things up. Okay, that is looking great. You'll see that we do wedding party portraits, each side and individuals only. So that means like Blake and their wedding party and then Elliot and their wedding party, because then later when cocktail hour begins, we're going to have wedding party portraits combined so that just the full wedding party. Family, boom, and then their couples portraits. So Blake and Elliot's first portraits together that day because they are not doing a first look. Let's open up the delivery page. I'm going to click in here, paste. We're going to personalize Blake and Elliot's wedding day timeline. Click, table design. Boom, bang, boom. Autofit, contents. 0.25, home, center it. Coverage is then from 1:30 to 9:45. 1:30 to 9:45 p.m. Save, send it out, and there are 5 timelines. And there you have it. If you are sold and you are like, take my money, let's get the timeline wizard, I'm going to put the link in the description down below. It's a really affordable product, just $63 that you can grab that and you can use it unlimited forever to streamline this process, to automate a lot of the steps that you would have to do manually typically, and to get you an amazing timeline creating tool. If you have any questions, drop them down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. This helps us so much. If you want to hang around for more videos on building a successful photography business that fuels a life filled with freedom and flexibility, hit subscribe. I'd love to have you hang out. And until next time, bye.